Doug and Patti Brill are a well-known and popular Westport couple. Been here for 33 years and raised 4 children here, and they're involved in a lot of local activities. Meals on Wheels, YMCA, you name it. But Patti and Doug have a story unlike, I think, any other couple in town. And I'll let Patti introduce it.
Okay. So we lived here for 33 years, and Doug was a very, very successful guy at GE. And he enabled me to stay home and raise our children, 4 wonderful, wonderful kids. And he not only did so well at GE, he also gave back to Westport. He'd rush home, coach the kids, you name it. He was the commissioner of basketball for our oldest son. Yeah. He didn't play basketball, but he was the commissioner.
Because I couldn't hit the hoop.
And yeah, we just were a normal, everyday family raising our children. And when Doug got sick, it was quite a shock to all of us because Doug was a marathon runner. Doug was a active, got up early to play squash, ran, showed up at work, came home, coached, like I said, and he just started to not feel well at the end of 2002.
Wow.
And it was quite a shock because you're like, wait a minute, what? You're so young. The kids were young, I was young. And it happened very, very quickly where we could not get a diagnosis. We were seeing many, many doctors, but basically he was losing a lot of weight and he was in severe pain throughout his body. The nerve endings were inflamed. And unfortunately, a lot of the doctors said, oh, it's stress. Like, where do you work? Oh, GE. That's stress, that's stress. And, in hindsight, I wish I could go back to those doctors and say, let's see where we're at today. You should never assume everything is stress. And we were seeing every doctor possible to try to get a diagnosis. And it wasn't until I x-rayed the lung that they diagnosed him with something called neurosarcoid. And never heard of it. We did all our research. Usually it's a pulmonary disease, but like I said, Doug was running, his lungs were fine. We think it attacked his stomach, but overnight it attacked his brain. And he basically lost his memory overnight. He was rushed to Stanford Hospital for tests in the middle of a blizzard, and our good friend drove him to the hospital. And he called me that night. I'll never forget, he called me. Normal questions, normal conversation, how you feeling? And he actually said, I'm getting worse, I'm glad I'm here. And I said, I'll see you in the morning, let me see who can come and watch the kids. And that morning I got the call and they said, you better get here quickly. Doug was in coma, he was basically put in ICU. He couldn't speak, he was mumbling, he was rolled up in a ball. And luckily our neurologist at the time, her husband worked at Columbia. I didn't realize this at the time, but she's like, let's get him down in New York. So rushed in an ambulance. And again, this was all blizzard conditions. I remember following the ambulance to Columbia, thought, oh, we're finally gonna get answers. But we never really did. All we know is he lost his frontal hippocampus where all your memories are stored. It's basically, they always said it's burnt out, it's not there. When they do the brain MRIs, it's black. And that's where all your memories go.
So it's like the short-term memories.
So fast forward today, Doug has no short-term memory. And everyone says, what does that mean? Does that mean? He just can't remember anything.
I can't remember yesterday.
And everyone thinks like, oh, I see Doug, he looks like he's functioning, but he's really not.
Yes, go ahead.
So you can't remember yesterday.
No. Nor can I remember being rushed to the hospital. Like, I can't remember any time from 2002.
But we were talking 10 minutes ago about your 4 kids. You told me what they're doing. You know where they are. You know me.
Tell them why.
I'm gonna, well, I do have a cheat sheet.
Okay.
I looked at the cheat sheet before I came in, and it said where the kids are working. It said their age. I've known you, actually I think I knew you before I got sick. I'm not sure if I'm making that up, but.
I don't know, but whatever.
No, when I started coaching your kids.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you were sick at the time.
But you know me and you know that I'm a soccer coach.
I do. and I know that you're one of the best soccer coaches in the state.
Do you know
or
that I
country.
retired? But what does it mean day to day to not remember much?
It's very difficult. I mean, I am fumbling. I mean, if it weren't for Patti, you know, to say, Doug, this is what you're doing today, I wouldn't know. Now, again, a couple of sidebar effects of the illness is that I cannot get around town without a GPS. So
True of a lot of people.
No, but this is like,
Yeah.
what I thought about even pulling in here, you don't realize the library has 2 levels. Now, I didn't ask you where you parked because I know I'm going to park at the upper level and walk right in. I bet you parked at the lower level and you don't even know it.
I'm not
Yeah.
proud of this, but I did park where there was a handicap parking pass. So I use handicap parking.
Yeah.
No, but his,
Again,
he'd
I'm
get
proud of
turned
it.
around. If he stood up, he would probably sit in my chair because he thought he was sitting here. It's not like, oh, I get lost. There's nowhere in his brain for directional.
Okay.
Like he
but
gets lost in the house. Yeah.
you get lost in the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like, what
And
room was I
we
in?
have
Where's?
drawers labeled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything you do, when you go to the Y,
Yeah.
I see you at the Y,
Yes.
everybody says, hey, Doug, and you engage in conversation,
Yeah.
but it's a struggle, right?
It's a struggle in that I don't know their names, they know my name. Like, hey, Doug, you're always so happy and blah, blah, blah. You know, because I did always have the cup is half full
Yeah.
kind of attitude. But, you know, working out like that is my fun. And seeing all the people, being around people is my joy.
But he has to plug it in the GPS. And then in the beginning, it was sort of like, let me know when you get there. And now I've sort of pulled back a little bit. I'm like, okay, it's right down the road. If he was lost, he would hopefully call me and say, I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
But that took a while to like me to relax and say, okay, he doesn't have to text me every time he gets there. Let's assume he's there.
So you know that you have this condition.
I know I have it, and I know it's called Neurosarcoidosis. That's the long name,
Yeah.
but I don't know what has caused it. Yeah, my parents, my brothers and sister looked back. They looked through medical records. They didn't see anybody in the history, in the family chain.
How do you know you have it if you forget things?
See, that's where it's different than Alzheimer's. That's what we say. Like, he knows he doesn't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting in that, you know, with I have what year, can't remember what year we're in, because this doesn't have the year on it.
2026.
Okay, so I have like 24 of these things
Okay.
piled up, well, 23 of them since I'm holding one, and they all have doctors and
Things you've done.
physicians. Every day has something that I've done.
So you can look back and see what you've done.
If I wanted to.
But you don't remember doing it.
No, I don't remember yesterday. Now, is there a reason I need to remember yesterday? Maybe, but maybe not.
So, and we were talking, I forget, about vacations. So
Yeah.
you go on vacations, you have a great time, and then you don't remember
No,
being on vacation.
no. Now, I know we usually go to the Jersey Shore in the
Shirt you're
summer.
wearing.
Right.
Long Beach Island.
We go to Long Beach Island. So I married into a great family. You know, they vacation there. So that became our family vacation point.
But every time we go, it's my mom's home. He doesn't remember the house at all.
No.
It's like starting over. We've been going for a long time. He doesn't. I keep thinking he does, and he's like, "Which house is it?" And then when he ventures out or something, it's hard when you're not in your home to say where we are. Make sure you get home.
Yeah.
Like if he wants to just, I'll go to the grocery store. Look, no, Doug, we'll go. You know, it's like,
But again, I'm
Yeah.
it's so hard for me to wrap my head around it. We were talking before, and you mentioned Kenny, one of your sons, not walking until he was about 2.5.
Yeah.
And you talked about you remember him
I remember him
scooting
scooting.
around.
Now again, it was 2002, so maybe it was because of pictures.
Yeah, maybe
I'm not
pictures.
sure.
Sometimes pictures, we don't know why some things Doug remembers. Maybe it's because we talk about it a lot and
Yeah.
it's there somewhere. And repetition
Maybe repetition
helps a lot.
Yeah.
Like going to the Y is repetition.
Yeah.
And when Doug wasn't driving, he was having seizures within the last couple years, and that repetition stopped. And then when he'd go back, it was like starting over again, and only I knew that.
Yeah.
And the Y is a big place. I mean, right? There's multi-levels and
A lot of people, a lot going on.
Yeah, and I've never walked in with Doug, but I know when he walks in, you're probably like, okay, where's the locker room? Like,
Well, it's funny. On my cell phone, I have lots of photographs. Most of the photographs are the locker number that I stored my stuff in.
A lot of people need that.
I
A lot
hear
of
that
people-
those numbers are in need of repair. Is that-
Well,
That's a whole other
thing,
issue.
like-
But
Now-
with someone with a memory loss, that's a struggle. It
Yeah.
stresses him out. He's like, I took a picture, but it's not in order. Like you would think 99 would be right before 100.
Not in RY.
No.
Do you remember your childhood, your youth?
Yes,
You do remember that?
I do remember that.
Vividly? and-
Vividly. I remember playing baseball. I was on the Darien Police Little League team. I went to Mather Junior High School, Darien High School. Sorry, our nemesis.
So,
now that we
Did you know he was from Darien?
of course. So it's the 2002 that was the sort of demarcation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was up for a big promotion at GE, and that just overnight done. I mean, everything was cut. Like it just overnight, the world as we knew it was done. There was no like warming up to it. It was like, so,
And you were a mother with young kids.
Yeah, young.
Four young kids.
young kids, young.
So how did you?
Well, my parents were phenomenal. They would come. They lived over the bridge in New York, and they would come. They would just come. They just knew what to do, and everybody was great. I remember the nursery school saying, keep them for lunch bunch. And so I was just like, okay, and I was on the board at the nursery school, and kept that position because I needed reality. I needed normalcy.
Yeah.
I needed something normal. As you know our kids a little bit, they're very active. They give back. They volunteer. They're very athletic. It was a busy household, very busy. So I needed my friends and I needed my family.
And everybody did step up, very nicely.
That's part of being part of the community.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
hard to accept that. It really is sometimes. Like people would say, you want me to bring over dinner? And I'd say, no. And boy, I would love, I should have said yes.
Yeah.
They did bring over dinner, but what was I? I should have said yes. It would have helped out even more. But it's hard to accept.
Yeah.
And what are some of the some things that you had to do to, number one, to cope yourself, and number two, to help Doug?
Well, a lot. I mean, I was mother and father to the kids.
And caregiver to me.
And taking care of Doug and getting him the care he needed.
Wow.
I mean,
telling me who I was meeting on a particular day.
I mean, I had to be his eye. I'm still am his eyes and ears.
Yeah.
I still am. And, we've learned skills. For instance, I can't in passing say, oh, I have book club tonight. I have to say, Doug, got your calendar? Okay. I have book club, or I have book
put it
club
in
on
my
Wednesday.
calendar.
So I can't just, most people can just say, oh, on Tuesday I'm going out with the girl. I can't do that. It has to be, Doug, you sitting? Let's take out the calendar. It has to be, he can't be in another activity. I have to get him focused. Yeah. I know that. And whenever we go somewhere, I have to, like before we came, we sat down and I reminded him of the podcast we had done a year ago, and he doesn't remember it, but I had to just remind him and talk about, where we were meeting and what we expected for questions. And I said, we'll just have to, talk honestly, but
And you remember that because it was this morning?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, and I'm going to say, Patti just informed me that we were going out to dinner with somebody. I can't remember who it is, but I did write it down.
Well, and we put it in writing. Like I texted him.
Yeah.
I write for your calendar, and I know I do that text when I know he's home. I would, I make sure he's home, and I know he can look at it.
And focus.
Because you and I could probably say, oh, I'll get to that later. Someone texted me, we can do that. He can't do that. I have to know, but it has to be in the moment. And I'm very I have to think about it before I do anything with Doug.
So you mentioned GPS, you mentioned texting. Those are things that have come up since the diagnosis.
Yes.
Crucial.
Yes.
So technology has helped?
Yes, a lot. I mean, a lot. If we didn't have all of that, and someone even mentioned like the Google Lens, like, you know what? If Doug got those, it would tell him, oh, that's Dan Woog. You're approaching Dan Woog, and Doug would be like, hey, Dan.
Oh my God.
Like, think of all this technology.
No,
but
I didn't even know there was a Google Lens.
But then there's a learning curve because Doug's not going to remember that he has he has this at his hand. So it's a lot. Like the kids are great, especially our daughter Nikki. She's always trying to help him make things easier. But then you have to remember what that is, and that's a whole nother level, like of remembering what Nikki said to do.
So in terms of the kids,
I
mean, any kid is embarrassed by their parents growing up.
Right.
What was it like for the three boys and Nikki growing up?
That's a good question. I'm sure they weren't embarrassed, but I'm sure they wish things were different.
Yeah.
You know, looking around, this is a nice town and people were doing nice things, and our life was very simple. So I'm sure they never said anything, but yeah, we all, they were young.
Yeah.
They were young.
That's
I always remember
that's a reality.
I remember I had a Suburban, which I loved, and it was getting old. And I remember driving a couple of the boys to soccer practice, and one boy in particular, Miss Brill, I love this car. And I still remember who said it, and the car with, and I'm like, that's really nice.
With a tank.
It was dying, and it was all wrapped, but
Yeah.
But the only reason we had it was because we had
so
a
many
boat.
kids.
Right.
So many kids, yeah. But yeah, I think that's a good question about the kids. I mean,
do you speak to them about it? Did you speak to them about it? Or was it just something they grew up with?
My goal, Dan, was to make them live a normal life. Right. And maybe you can see that when you saw my boys at soccer, or maybe, you would never know behind the scene, figuring out finances, we got cut off from, I remember the phone call, we have to replace Doug. There was nothing. I mean, I had to figure out medical insurance. I had to go back to work. Are we going to live here? How are we going to make this work? So I just wanted them to have a really good upbringing, and I think they did. They're great kids. Like Doug said, he taught them to ski. They got to participate in sports, and they were leaders and winning awards. And one in particular, Daniel. That was a very emotional moment for me at the soccer banquet when he won that award. That was, well-deserved for Daniel, but it was very emotional for me, and it was very nice.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that.
It was enjoyable, like taking them out on the boat, despite me not knowing where I was going. I mean, sure, you have navigational aids out there, but you don't know where every single rock is, but at least the kids did.
Okay.
So when we would go tubing and things like that, or camping out at Kikini Island.
So you've maintained a very active life. You mentioned running the New York City Marathon.
Well, years ago.
Okay.
3, but I'll never do it again.
Okay. Could you do it again?
I probably could. I'd like to see the friends of mine that are listening to this.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be healthy for him to run it again.
Okay. I don't think it's healthy for anybody.
Now all I do is bike and play. Patty's introduced me to pickleball, so now I'm pickleballing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of all the activities you do. You did Meals on Wheels. You delivered Meals on Wheels.
I used to.
Until he couldn't drive anymore.
Yeah, until I couldn't drive.
But that took a lot of planning and preparation.
It did, and fortunately there was an address. Plug the address in, and you don't have to socialize with people. You just drop the meal off.
But it was a challenge. He had a nice friend that would pick him up, and Doug would do the running. But if your friend wasn't with you, Doug, you're in places you've never been and different apartment numbers, and where is this?
Yeah.
It was definitely a challenge, but Doug never complained, and he always did it. Yeah. And they loved him.
And
the residents loved him.
I've been introduced to the Rotary Club, so I'm now a member of the Rotary Club. The Wise Men. And I'm also the head bingo caller at the senior center, which I love.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I had to push him, but, you know,
Patty did push me
I
a
kept
lot.
saying, what's the alternative? I mean, you know,
I didn't want to sit at home.
you can't sit at home. Part of, you know, he got sick so young, and I always said part of your identity is your job. You know, you go out socially, you're talking about your job. You're talking about your job. What do you do?
What'd you do
He didn't
today,
have
Doug?
that. So I think I'm proud of him because I would say, let's try this. The bingo was the first step. And it was hard. He has a cheat sheet, even for bingo. You think, oh, just show up and call bingo. But he has a cheat sheet. He looks at it 30 minutes before he goes to bingo. Just
This is a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone
what is
thinks
it?
it's so easy.
You can
The
take a
games,
look.
you know.
Some of the games are on back.
Oh, it
the
tells you
games
everything
that-
you need to know about bingo.
But some of the particular games that the participants enjoy.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
You know.
Postage stamp, six
And then
pack.
our daughter Nikki and her fiance gave him a nice little headset,
Yeah,
so he
yeah.
doesn't have to scream.
Because I used to do it, you know, with my voice alone, and now
Okay.
I have the.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know that, and then our friend kept reaching out for Rotary, and I'm like, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be hard. But then he said, once he said they meet every week, I said, that's the game changer.
Yeah.
Because the repetition of that will help Doug. And it's been great. So
How long have you been a Rotarian?
I'm not sure.
I would say almost a year now.
Okay.
And he's doing great with it.
Yeah,
You know,
I enjoy it.
volunteering, and you know,
Enjoy
every time he
going to it.
shows up, it's a new.
So if there's a task to be done, you
Has
do
to be
it?
done. They reach out, and I'll look at my calendar, see if I'm available, and say, yes, I'm available.
They've been very welcoming. Nice group there.
Oh, it's a great group.
It's one of the best things you've done
Yeah.
recently. I think it's wonderful.
In fact, I think it's a Rotarian who was interested in this podcast. He said, oh, I can't wait to watch it. So
I'm sure they'll.
Good. Good. No, this is, I think it's a really important podcast because your story is unique, and yet I think everybody can relate to having something unexpected happen in their life
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
that, you know, a journey that
takes the wrong way.
yeah.
That's what I say. You can't judge people because you don't know. Everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, we've learned that, you know. I think we're very empathetic and good listeners, and
Yeah, so
it's like,
so what has, obviously nothing good can come out of this, but what has been something unexpected?
you want to answer that one? You have
Yeah, I
anything
mean,
to think
that
of?
I'm able to be with people, with more people than I was previously, especially seniors. I like the seniors. They seem to like me.
They love them. Although you're a senior now, too.
Although, yeah, you're right.
No, you're good. You know, when he shows up at bingo, they're hugging him. They love him. He's
Yeah, I
great.
kind of make
He's
it,
great.
I try to make it energetic.
I'm sure you do.
yeah.
And Patty, how about you? What's
Oh,
been,
I think I've said before, I'm definitely a different person than I was. It's hard. It's hard being a caregiver and just sort of like get up every morning and have someone that, you know, asks a lot of questions, like all day long. And just being patient. And people say to me, wow, you're really patient. And I look back and I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. I mean, it's a lot. It really is. Like I have to navigate my life and Doug's life.
I give
And
Patty
forever.
so much credit.
It's been 20
I cannot imagine.
Yeah,
If
been a
the
long
role,
time.
If the role was reversed, I cannot imagine. Yeah, what you're going through.
yeah.
And just not having, you know, your spouse have memories with you. That's hard.
Yeah,
is.
that's what a marriage is.
Yeah, that's what a
Right.
marriage is. Life
Memories and-
experiences.
yeah.
And
Shared experience.
yeah. And I don't think, even though people may think they understand it, no one will ever understand
Yeah.
it. Even I was with my daughter last week. She was, Mom, no one will ever understand it. I go, no, they won't. They don't have to. But it's amazing the things people say.
Stupid,
Yeah.
senseless,
Yeah.
thoughtless, for
Yeah.
example.
Well, sometimes I mean the eye rolls that I get, you know, when I do park in a handicapped parking spot. You know, you see this young, viral, athletic guy jump out of the car. And I'm like, why are you parking there?
Yeah.
And the stress level it brings Doug. Like we had doctors that the doctor was the finally one that said, get the handicap, because he would be in circles looking for his car. Circles and the stress and then calling me, and I don't, you know, I don't,
For hours.
for hours.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, when you're able to use it,
Yeah.
it's
Sure.
You can't judge
That's
a person.
what it's there
You don't-
for.
It doesn't mean you have a physical, and that's the other thing with Doug's illness. It's not a physical handicap, but it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see it visually.
Yeah,
Right.
If you see Doug walking into the Y, you think, oh, look at him going to the Y, or
Yeah.
working out, and I think it's
So with
It's a
all
challenge.
that's going on, you have to deal with thoughtless, inconsiderate people.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
You just sort of have to like walk away.
But I'm going to say most people are very, very considerate. It's just a few
Yeah.
bad apples.
Yeah.
And do you think that being here in Westport has been helpful in any way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We lived in our original house for a very long time when we first moved here.
The one up on Sturgis?
Yeah, off of Sturgis. And loved that house. It was great. It had a big yard. It was great for the kids.
Raising kids.
And I never thought I could move because I said, how could I take Doug out of this house? It's his memory.
Yeah.
I used to have pictures all over the wall of like the kids and the family and the, just our life. And then he had a really bad seizure one year. And I remember coming home and I just was walking at the beach and I said, I got to move out of that. I can't do it. It was all me. It was all me. And I said, I got to figure something out. And we did. We sort of simplified to another house. It was the best thing I ever did. And Doug did great.
And I love
he
it.
did great.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
sometimes when people say, what's your address? I defer to the old one. He never does. And he only showed up at the old house twice, which was which wasn't
Accidental.
so bad. I mean,
Yeah.
for a guy with no memory, you think, plug in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So what's the prognosis? What's ahead?
well, we're very, very, very happy. He hasn't had a seizure in 2 years.
Yeah, knock on
That's
everything.
been life-changing. I mean, life-changing. And his seizures were just, he would just stare and go blank. So people didn't even know he
Yeah,
was
it's not
having-
violent
Yeah,
seizures.
it's just, he would just go blank. And he hasn't had one. That's been great. And even my friends that see Doug say, Doug looks great, you know?
yeah.
And the other thing I said, why don't you wear glasses instead of contacts? And believe it or not, I think that has helped a lot.
Really?
Yeah, because I
that's
think
true.
when you couldn't, you're struggling to see and your brain is, trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see, I think he's doing so much better.
Uh-huh.
I really do.
Now, the downside is it's a very expensive drug that you do take,
Yeah.
the anti-seizure
Wow.
medicine.
Because it's new, it's even worse that it's just very expensive. But it's working.
Yeah.
That's
So it is, it's
it works.
working, and
Let's go with
we'll
it.
be taking that. And so what's next is grandparents, and hopefully we get to see the grandkids a lot, and weddings. So we have two of our, Daniel and Nicole are engaged, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
it's really great.
We're
That's
lucky.
great.
I mean,
And,
you look at all the downsides, but there are so many upsides that
Yeah.
we're enjoying in our lives.
And it's just become the new norm,
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Wow.
It's been a long time of like our life where it is.
Well, the smiles on both of you, the affection that you show, it's heartwarming and inspiring.
Love
Any,
seeing you at the Y.
I see you all the time at the
Yeah.
Y.
And kudos to you. Doug loves, well, I do too. 06880, your blog.
That's
I mean,
the favorite, my favorite
he-
blog. First thing in the morning.
All right.
but I will tell you, you save them. I go, you don't have to save them because they're accessible. We're working on that, Dan.
They're there all the time.
They're
you gotta
wonderful.
help
You
me
do
with
such a
that.
nice job.
Thanks.
Like, especially for Doug with no memory. It just
Yeah.
keeps him a little, he may forget what you wrote, but in the moment, it's wonderful.
I forget what I wrote.
Okay.
Any message, any last words you want to pass along?
Anything you want to say?
I didn't think about that in advance, but I'd say enjoy life in the moment. That's for sure. Enjoy your kids if you have kids. Enjoy your time with each other. Enjoy your friendships. And don't be a bad person.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Could not think of better advice. Patti and Doug Brill telling a remarkable story with honesty and candor and plenty of love. So thanks for being on 06880, the podcast.
Thank you very much, Dan.